Hi, today's topic is history of clinical trials. The recorded history of clinical trials goes back to the biblical descriptions in 500 before Christ. The journey moves from dietary therapy legumes and lemons to drugs. After basic approach of clinical trial was described in 18th century, the efforts were made to refine the design and statistical aspects. These were followed by changes in regulatory and ethics milieu. This article captured the major milestone in the evolution of clinical trials. The world's first clinical trial is recorded in the book of Daniel in the Bible. This experiment resembling a clinical trial was not conducted by a medical but by King Nebuchadnezzar, a resourceful military leader. During his rule in Babylon, the Nebuchadnezzar ordered his people to eat only meat and drink only wine, a diet he believed would keep them in sound physical condition. But several young men of royal blood who preferred to eat vegetable objected. The king allowed these rebels to follow a diet of legumes and water, but only for 10 days. When Nebuchadnezzar's experiment ended, the vegetarians appeared better nourished than the meat eaters, so the king permitted the legumes lovers to continue their diet. This probably was the one of the first time in evaluation of human species that an open, uncontrolled human experiment guided a decision about public health. Avicenna, in his Encyclopedia Canon of Medicine, describes some interesting rules for the testing of drugs. He suggests that in the clinical trial, a remedy should be used in its natural state in disease without complications. He recommends that 2 cases of contrary types be studied and that study be made of the time of action and the reproducibility of the effect. These rules suggest a contemporary approach for clinical trials. However, there seems to be no record of application of these principles in practice. The first clinical trial of novel therapy was conducted accidentally by the famous surgeon Ambroise Paré in 1537. In 1537, while serving with the Marechal de Montigny, he was responsible for the treatment of battlefield wounded soldiers. As the number of wounded soldiers was high and the supply of conventional treatment oil was not adequate to treat all the wounded, he had to resort to conventional treatment. He described at length my oil lacked and I was constrained to apply in its place a digestive made of yolks of egg, oil of roses and turpentine. That night I could not sleep at any ease, fearing that by lack of cauterization I would find the wounded upon which I had not used the said oil dead from the poison. I raised myself early to visit them. When beyond my hope I found those to whom I had applied the digestive medicament, feeling but little pain, their wounds neither swollen nor inflamed, and having slept through the night. The others to whom I had applied the boiling oil were feverish with this much pain and swelling about their wounds. Then I determined never again to burn thus so cruel the poor wounded by aquabus. However, it would take another 200 years before a planned control trial would be organized. James Lin is considered the first physician to have conducted a controlled clinical trial of the modern era. Dr. Lin, whilst working as a surgeon on a ship, was appalled by the high mortality of scurvy amongst the sailors. He planned a comparative trial of the most promising cure for scurvy. His vivid description of the trial covered the essential elements of a controlled trial. Their cases were as similar as I would have them. They all in general had putrid gums, the spots and lassitude, with weaknesses of the knees. They lay together in one place, being a proper apartment for the sick in the forehold, and had one diet common to all. Is water gruel sweetened with sugar in the morning, fresh mutton broth open time for dinner, at other times light pudding, boiled biscuit with sugar, etc. So this is the information related to the history of clinical trials. Thank you.